Hey everybody, infinite regression. Look at it. It's regressy, it's infinite. You know it, you've seen it, you've fell in here before. Hey, yeah. So, a former student of mine, Felipe, you know who you are. Because your name is Felipe. That's your name. It's your actual freaking name. Yeah, I'm calling you out on this channel with my literally singles of viewers. Anyway, regardless, this is Rem Goes Hardcore. I'm gonna get back in my hardcore world. I didn't even remember what my hardcore. Oh, that's the name of a NASCAR driver. Shut up. Anyway, it's a funny name. There's legitimately look it up. There's a NASCAR driver whose actual given name was Dick Trickle. Oh, I just started my mine. That's right. Just barely. It's a new mine patterned after the old one where we used to mine. Anyway, sweet. Good. Wait, what level am I mining on? Hold up, cuz am I on 13 like an idiot? Carn sarnet. Gall darn it. Because, I've found, especially recently, that like it is of little use. Oh, this is total dripstone right here. um I wonder, this is gonna open up into something. Probably, usually it does. It's gonna be like cavernous. Anyway, oh, hello. I never figured out how to find diamonds based on the location of, because that's a thing now. Lapis tells you where the diamonds are. Oh, there we go. Glad we didn't fall to our death on spikes. There's probably diamonds right down there. Oh my god. Diamonds, is that you or is that death spikes killing people? Yeah, I don't see no diamonds. I just see death spike. Anyway, yeah, no diamonds. Whatever. The filth with this. I got no time for this. I'm just gonna like seal off the sides and let jobbies and skeletons and freepers and whatnots. Freepers. That's what. That's how my son, when he was but a child, he's still a child, just a wee lad. Oh my god, that's a lot of copper. What the frick? Okay, I'm gonna leave that side open. I'm gonna seal that off later. But I need to get down to, I need to at least get down to 0. Maybe I'll go down to like -5 or some nonsense. Oh my god, I'm like full of iron. Hello. Look at me. Yeah, I got a significant amount of iron. That's not nothing. I got a carrot? Sweet. My world is, I don't remember what the top side looks like. I'm gonna go top side for just a second. Is I have not played my hardcore world in quite some time, and it's about time for me to know what my hardcore world looks like. Oh, it sucks. Okay. I'm kidding. That's pretty nice. I'm gonna have to clear a lot of trees out. Yeah, to make myself an habiliment. So yeah, we're gonna be all good. Anyway, but yeah, so the whole hardcore mode. Oh, don't you groan at me. Uh, yeah. Former student was like, "Hey, you should totally do that more," and I was like, "That's right. I forgot that I had started that." Because he walked in as I was recording a thing, and it ended up being a video that I'm not going to post. Sorry, even though he's totally on in the background talking to me and stuff. It's just that like the reason I'm not going to post it is because I realized partway through I'm like, wait a minute, I can just go home right now, and so I did. Um, like I literally just was like, I can go home. I don't have to stay here. Shoot, like, and I just threw a smoke bomb and ninja vanish. So like, don't worry about ninja vanish, but ninja vanish. Um. Anyway. Oh, I gotta turn on my. Can't believe that. Like when I started this, I was. I can't believe that they extended the depth of the world that much. And I'm gonna tell you this, like, it makes it harder in so many ways to find a lot of essential things. Like coal, for instance, becomes like a real pain in the neck. Just trying to find coal becomes an issue. I better not open up onto a massive cavernous cavern full of jobbies and skeletos trying to kill me because I'm in hardcore and I don't need that in my life. Oh, yeah, that's true. I am reminded by my lovely wife that you are not hardcore unless you live hardcore. You know what? That they should make a song about that. Oh, Carn Sarnet. That's where the noises are coming from. I just expect one of these fools to pop on my head at any second now. All right. Ra-da-da, ba-da-da-two. Ya-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-da-ba-ba-ba-da-boop-boo. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, I don't know if I did mine either. If mine's still good, do you want to bring it? I'm pretty sure mine is still like basically full beer. Thank you, universe. Thanks for looking out. Ooh, lukewarmish. This episode of Rem Goes Hardcore brought to you by lukewarmish beer. You opened it for dinner, and then you forgot it was there when you put the kids to bed. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here, but we're doing it, baby. More copper? What is this, a copper mine? It is. It essentially is precisely exactly that. Um, Wait, why am I coming up? I haven't mined the copper yet. Stupid. Gall darn it. Like going to deposit something I haven't even mined yet. Anyway, I'm good at Minecraft. I just need you to know that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, um, Duka, Dukwetinia is real. Very much so. So here's a concept from Buddhism. Some of you may, oh my God, this is a butt ton of copper. Some of you may know this. Others of you may not. Regardless of how much knowing of it you have done or will do or intend to do in the future. I'm gonna give you a base level of knowing of it right now. So, the basic concept of this, is this: that Buddhism was set out to solve one problem and one problem only. That's why Buddhism exists as a religion, and it only exists as a religion because of imperialism. If it were not for imperialism, it would just exist as a set of cultural practices with no uh no need to identify itself against other religious beliefs and practices. The product of imperialism, like the very concept of religion as a thing, is the product of imperialism. Thank you very much. Anyway, regardless, and also all religions since imperialism have been more or less ruined by imperialism. Thanks. This is some real white man hating on the white man speech, but whatever. It is what it is. White guilt. I'm here to I'm basically what I'm doing here is what keeps Republicans up at night. No, I'm kidding. They do not care. These are the most cynical people in the world. They literally do not care. They're just looking to pick a fight with anyone for any reason, for electability. That's all they care about. And it's the most cynical bullcrap ever. They intend for their people to not look too deeply into what they're actually saying and to not think too hard about it. No one thinks less of Republican voters than Republican politicians. And I'm not kidding. You think Democrats think Republican voters are dumb or are real sheep who just toe a party line no matter what? Ha ha ha. Yeah, that's not half as cynical as the way that actual Republican government officials view the people who give them their power. It's really, really friggin' sad, honestly. Regardless. But yeah, look, the white man has perpetrated some nonsense throughout the world. And you could say oh, but we're all better because of it. Look at how it brought the world together. Yeah, that would be great if you were not anti-diversity and anti-globalism. So you can shut the frick up. That's the Republican senators who are yeah, I voted against I voted against the payments that Biden was sending out to help people who really freaking needed help in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah, I voted against sending those payments out. And then when they proved to be very popular, I told people that I was partially responsible for making that happen, even though I fought against it every step of the way, that's the thing that actually happened. Don't think it didn't. These people, I'm telling you, you think I'm cynical. You think Democrats are cynical. Look at what Republicans are doing. It's freaking shameful and ridiculous, and they ought to be ashamed. But they have no concept of shame because they, honestly, here's how is that they know that Trump lost the 2020 election. They know that. They know that for a fact, and they don't care. They literally don't care. It's the bedrock principles of democracy, and they're like, yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about that when I had other things to discuss. I was going to talk to you about Buddhism. Okay, so dukkha as a concept. Here we go. So you got to understand. You probably heard this story somewhere. I'm going to briefly recap it so that you understand it, so that you know what I'm talking about. So a young Siddhartha Gautama, or Siddhartha Gautama, if you want to be freaking, I don't know, white about it. Yeah. Um, so yeah, he is a young man. He is a prince, and there are a number of things that are remarkable about him. When he was born, first of all, he was born from his mother's side, not in the usual way. He did not pass through a birth canal. Why? Well, interestingly, a lot of holy religious figures throughout the ages were claimed to have been born from mothers' sides, or like to have otherwise not passed through a birth canal. Yeah, because vaginas are the source of sin in the world. Like, I'm sorry, but so many religions are man-made. Actually, all religions are man-made. But, like, except for yours is the only true one. The one that you believe in. And why do you believe it? Because your parents have never been wrong about anything. It's the one that they raised you in, and they have never been wrong. Anyway, ever. Like, think of a time when your parents have been wrong about anything. You can't. It's impossible. Your parents have never been wrong. A thank you, a point made. So, yeah. Back to the point. To the point, no faking. Cooking MCs like a pound of bacon. So here's the deal. Like, the idea is that, that a young Siddhartha Gautama is born from his mother's side, and when he is born with a full head of hair and a full head of teeth. This is a shout out to Chris Pratt. And anyway, and started walking basically right away. Walking and talking as he took his first 7 steps. 7, numerology, very important if you're a dingus. Like, numerology is among the dumbest things you can believe in. Like astrology and other, stupid nonsense that people give themselves over to because they would rather live in a world of make-believe than in the world that actually exists. Sorry if I just described your very state of being. Wait, why did I F5 instead of F3? It's because I have to hold down a function key in addition to everything else I'm doing around here. 2, 3, 4, 4. There we go. That's 4 blocks high. So now I know how high my walls are. I'm going to be in some serious deep slate now. I tell you what. Anyway, so let's talk about why Buddhism exists as a concept in the world. So a young Siddhartha Gautama was born. He took his steps. Flowers bloomed at his feet. He was speaking immediately. His father took him to an oracle of sorts, and the oracle said that your son will follow one of two destinies. Either he will be a great king, or he will be a great religious leader. And of course, dad wants son to stay in the family business, because dad is a king. And he's like, well, obviously my son needs to be a king. And so Setetat's father decided that he needed to live a sheltered life within the palace. And indeed he did. He kept him from any knowledge of any suffering, any pain, anything unpleasant happening in the world, because what do religious people ultimately seek to do? They seek to rip people off and enrich themselves. No, wait, that's Joel Osteen. Anyway, what do religious people seek to do? Ultimately, like great religious leaders, the ones that actually matter. Not you, Joel Osteen. You don't matter. But the great religious leaders of the world seek to alleviate suffering, and so in order to keep young Seteta from pursuing this path, keeping him from pursuing the path, his father kept him from knowing about human suffering. He just did not see it. He lived a gilded life in a gilded cage. And anyway, as he was getting older, as he was in his 20s, he's realizing, like, hey, I'm supposed to be the king of these people someday, and I haven't seen them. I don't know them. I don't know how they live. I don't know how they exist. I don't know what their lives are like. How am I going to know how to be the great king that I am destined to be if I don't know my people? And he got a point. Yeah. So he wants to go on a visit outside the palace walls. And of course his father is terrified, and justifiably so. And so his father arranges for him to go on a tour outside of the palace, but a very select tour, a tour that is designed to only show certain sides of life. And so he prepares this tour. Oh my God, I have so much copper. Yeah. He prepares this tour to show only the finest and best that the kingdom has to offer. Now, of course, Seteta gets off track, and he sees a number of things that he was not meant to see. So, what are the things that he is not meant to see? First, he comes across. Oh, I've got some steps. All right, I'll be able to put these down. Yeah. First thing he comes across is an old man, and he's never seen an old man before. Like, certainly his father is older than he is, but his father is also a king, and so he is not subject to the harshness of life that other normal people are subject to. And so his father does not bear the same signs of extreme age, of, being worn down by life, that this old man shows. And so Seteta is taken aback, and he asks the people who are with him on this tour, his servants and whatnot, his attendants, he asks them, what is this? and they tell him it's age. You're seeing an old man, and he's like, my God, this is awful. Like this is really this is not good. And they explain like, oh, but this happens to everyone. And he's like, really, everyone? And they're like, yeah, it's just time. Time wears you down. And he's, struck by this, and he's dealing with this concept when next they come to a sick man, and he's never seen sickness in his entire life because he's lived this blessed life inside the walls of the palace. And he sees the sick man, and it's a similar thing. He's like, what is happening here? They're like, oh, this man is sick. And he's suffering as a result of his sickness. And he's never seen anyone suffer like this because it's been kept from him his entire life. He's literally never seen this. And so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is how I place my torches. I know it's wasteful and ridiculous, but it's how I've been doing it since I, started playing Minecraft way back when. Anyway, hold up. Let me swig some more of this warmish brewski. Oh, that's a good brewski. Anyway, so. So he sees the sick man. It sets him a pondering as to, what has gone wrong here and why. And, and I need to make room for my things because I got to have 1, 2 for my furnaces. I got to have 1 for my crafting table. And I'll just come steal these. Yep. Do I have an axe? Probably. Will I go rooting through my inventory? Nay. Anyway. So while he's pondering all of these things, they come upon a dead man, and he has never seen death. And he is struck by this. And of course, he's being raised in, like, it would be incorrect to say that prior to Siddhartha that, they were Hindu. I mean, that's kind of how people understand it, but it's not. That was an eerie noise. But that's not exactly technically correct. It's what people in Southeast Asia refer to as Brahmansasana, which is it's Brahmanism. It's it's a sort of formalization of some of the ancient animalistic approaches to religion. And of course there's the Brahmins, and it's a forerunner of Hinduism, which is why people tend to think of it as Hinduism, which is anyway, regardless. So yeah, the religious tradition in which he is raised, they believe in reincarnation, and so he realizes the nature of the world. His eyes are opened to the nature of the world, and the nature of the world is this: that we are born, that we grow old, that we get sick, and that we die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that we cannot avoid these things. They are inescapable. Absolutely inescapable. And indeed, that is so. Like, there is not a person within the sound of my voice who will not, like, unless you get friggin' hit by a bus when you're young, which also proves the point, uh, but who will not undergo, aging, sickness, death. And from a Brahmanistic and later a Hinduistic viewpoint, and also a Buddhist viewpoint, because Buddhism is, like, think of it as more of a DLC than a religion, than a standalone religion. I mean, it is its own religion, but it also, like, it has no God concept, and so the, like, worshipfulness of Buddhism is not, directed toward a specific deity, and so it's a different deal altogether. Like, it just is. And you kind of have to approach it with a different mindset than you do other, capital R religions. Anyway, so yeah, the nature of the universe, according to Siddhartha's experience, is that, everyone, regardless of who they are, they could be the highest king, they could be the lowest peasant, they will endure suffering, dukkha, uh, dukkha, dukkha, which it translate. It is a word that literally means suffering, to this day, and in even in Southeast Asian languages, like in Cambodian, for instance, duk wetania, suffering. you know, it's suffering. It's still suffering. But that understanding of suffering is very different from what we would think about as suffering. Like, we would think about it like this. A man being flogged for having committed a crime in ancient days. He's being beaten with a whip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Being beaten with a whip. We would say that he is suffering while he is under the whip, but that when the whip stops, his suffering has abated for the most part. He may still be, his flesh still may be stinging from the beating, but we would say that the larger portion of his suffering is now done. Because that's how we view it. Suffering is the thing that's happening to you while it's happening. And then when it stops, and maybe you're casting your eyes backward and thinking about the suffering and still feeling the effects of it, but the suffering itself has ceased, right? That's kind of how we think about it. Well, the thing about that view of suffering is that it is not the suffering that Buddhists are talking about when they're talking about suffering, when they're talking about, the Four Noble Truths, which are, they begin with that life is suffering, and that without an intervention of some sort, that suffering is the inexorable result of being alive. And it's not an active, like, someone is tearing at your flesh with a whip kind of suffering. What it is, rather, is it's more of a sort of deep and abiding dissatisfaction with life as it presents itself, because life is disappointing. it, like in one of Siddhartha's early sutras, in one of his early I don't know, you call it a lecture, a sort of a doctrinal expounding, uh, a discourse, a religious discourse of sorts. Anyway, the first time that uh, that he is really laying these principles out, he lays out the concept that, like, look, you know, uh, it is why you gotta make eerie noises. Um, it's like, look, to be alive is to suffer, and here is where the suffering comes from. It comes from our desires. Our desires for this impermanent world in which we live, this materialistic, impermanent world. 6. And so understand it like this. Okay, so that's 1, 2. Okay, this will be the last one. Okay, so we got 2. Anyway, understand it like this, because this is essentially what he said, is that to love someone and not have your love returned is painful. To want something and not have it is painful. To want something and get it and not be satisfied with it is painful. And so even the experience of getting what you want out of life can be a form of suffering, because it is ultimately everything in this world, everything that exists, everything that is, everything that you could attain in terms of achievements and praise and, self-aggrandizement and accomplishment and whatnot. It is all vain and nothing, and will eventually be forgotten, and you cannot maintain you absolutely cannot maintain the constant sense of like, oh wow, life is amazing all the time. Like, you can't look at Bill Belichick when he wins a Super Bowl. He's like the most dissatisfied man in the world, because he's already thinking about, okay, what are we going to do to make sure we don't lose the next one? That's what he's thinking about. And he'll think about things like, boy, we won this Super Bowl, so we're going to have a crappy first round draft pick, I tell you that much. Like, yeah, you are, because you won the friggin' Super Bowl, a thing most people do not get to do in their lives even once, let alone multiple times, and yet here you are with a sour look on your face. And why? Because it cannot satisfy you, because the nature of the world is ultimately dissatisfying and dissatisfactory. And that's the real hard truth of dukkha, is that is that because of the nature of the world, because of the way that things are, it is ultimately all suffering all the time, with no respite, with no escape, and no way to avoid it ever, for eternity. So, that's kind of problematic. And so if you're a very charismatic religious leader, that might be the kind of thing that you might want to go around solving, so that, people don't have to suffer for the rest of ever, just because, things are bad, because things are bad, you know? like because it's in their nature to be bad, and it is not in their nature to be any better than they currently are. Sorry that the world is so, friends. Sorry that the world is so. Um anyway, so yeah, this is the Buddhist concept of dukkha, that no matter what you do, you cannot escape the suffering. You know, uh, so that even when you're up, you're down. You know, which is fun. It's a great way of looking at the world. If you're someone who suffers from chronic depression, you're like, yeah, he's really onto something. Like, even when you're winning, you're losing. Because if you suffer from depression, like, you might know what it's like to just be waiting for that other shoe to drop all the time, where you're just constantly like, hey, I'm feeling pretty good. I bet things are about to suck. Like, I'm feel I'm feeling pretty happy. I bet I'm about to get very unhappy just any moment now. Like, that is very much what it is like to be depressed. Know that, feel that, spare a thought for your chronically depressed brethren, your chronically depressed homies who like just can't catch a break, man. Like, no matter what they do, it's always going to be rough out there. It's always going to be a time, you know? Anyway, and it is. It can't not. It can't not be a time. This is the nature of the friggin' universe. We live in an impermanent, like, look, you know that we are living in a material world, and I am a material girl. You know, Madonna knew it. Yeah, boys may come and boys may go, and that's all right with me. You see? That's right. What, you know, difficult religious studies concepts cannot be explained with Madonna lyrics. Uh, I mean, girls just want to have fun, but in their nature, they are sinful because the root of sin lies in their genitals, which men cannot stop desiring. Therefore, the women themselves are sinful. Therefore, to desire women is to be sinful, and men would be better off without women, just as Adam was better off without Eve. It's baked into so many religions that women are inherently sinful. By the way, you're welcome, ladies. I don't believe this. I do not believe that you are the root of evil. I'm not so foolhardy as to be like, if women were in charge of the world, there would be no wars. Like, there might be. Like, frick, what are we gonna do if, like, you know, Jacinda Ardern and Angela Merkel show up to some event and they're both wearing the same dress and everybody's like, Jacinda wore it better. Like, you see Germany on the warpath again. We don't need that. Just kidding. Angela Merkel was a very steady-handed leader, and while I don't agree with everything that she ever did, who would? Um, I really, really appreciated, like, she spent 20 years at the helm of a major, very important European nation. You know, any success that has been had by, oh, hey, it's shroomy shrooms. Any success that has been had by the European Union, like, she has a major share of. Like, that just is. Everybody knows it. Everybody's got to deal with it. Like, Angela Merkel makes it happen. The sun comes up when she says so. Actually, she's no longer in power because she decided not to run. And her, I don't know, I forget. I don't know. One of her underlings is now in her position, and he's doing a decent job from what I hear. I don't know. Uh, I'm sure you could find people who would be like, decent job. This guy's the freaking worst. Um, because someone is always bound to think that. That's never not going to be a thing that someone thinks. Anyway, but yeah. The point that I was making earlier is I'm not one of these people who's like, women can do no wrong. They're just sisterly sisterlings who just sister it up, sister. Yeah, that is not necessarily true. Like, I also am not that guy who's like, women have to fight because they're always competing for men. It's like, I spend a significant amount of time around lesbians, like, because I run the GSA. Well, I sponsor the GSA. To say I run it is, I desperately try not to run it. In spite of like various lacks of people getting things done at the top. Heyo, he said it. That's right. We've had a year full of like people being like, okay, but what do we do though? And it being a lot of like, yeah, we're gonna make T-shirts. Okay, well then freaking do it. Like the person who makes that happen is literally sitting in her classroom every time that we're there and meeting, and like is willing to make her resources available. I happen to be married to her, and she's a real cutie patootie and whatnot. But like, I as sponsor am not gonna make every dang thing happen. But anyway, regardless, I spent a lot of time with lesbians and bisexual and gender fluid and non-binary and other various and sundry identifying persons who were born with two X chromosomes. And I could tell you that, like, yeah, they got their things, they got their issues, they got their problems, just like anybody else. But, yeah, they've been unduly, like, not given a voice for too long. So maybe, yeah, give them chances in things and let them have a voice in things because you freaking owe it to them at this point. That's true. That's definitely true. But I'm not the guy who's going to be like, and if they were doing it, they would do it perfectly with no mistakes. Like, no, that's why would you set the bar that high for anyone, especially someone who like is traditionally marginalized and needs some freaking support, but like doesn't need to be given expectations so lofty and high that they'll never be able to measure up. Why the frick would you do that? That sounds like a terrible time. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Well, maybe my worst enemy. I'm trying to think who my worst enemy is. Anyway, regardless, it's funny because like, anyway, I'm not gonna go into it. Uh, Fact is, like, a lot of religions believe that sin originates with women. So, like Christianity, for example, all the Abrahamic religions, it's like, yes, the sin is with the woman. She started it. Talking to snakes. Get out of here. Anyway. But yeah. Point is, ladies and gentlemen, is that to a certain extent, to be alive is to suffer in the Buddhist sense. Not to be, having someone constantly flog you with a whip, but to be perpetually disappointed by a world which feels like it should have been more and should have been better and should have been uh, more suited to the well-being and happiness of its inhabitants, and yet it is not. A really good explanation for that as a state of affairs would be that, like, hey, maybe, and this is just a thought, maybe the universe is both unaware and uncaring when it comes to humans and, in general, the inhabitants of our little planet. Maybe that's a thing, because that seems like a pretty darn good explanation, if I'm being perfectly honest. And why wouldn't I be perfectly honest? I'm gonna be totally 100% honest. Absolutely. Anyway, let me get another swig of this increasingly warmish beer. The same temperature as my mouth. Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's see. Which one am I gonna turn into which one? You be that. And you can be that now. See, that is what you lose when you start having to mine this freaking deep, is you almost never run into coal. Almost never. It is a cold day in hell. Cold day. I'm a silly goose. Anyway, but yeah, just sometimes feel that dukkha, that sense that, like, why is this not more? Why is this not better? Why is this not something amazing? It feels like it should be, but it's not. Why is it not? And why did I expect it to be? Oh, dukkha, ladies and gentlemen, dukkha. And so that's why you become a Buddhist, so that you can become none with everything. Oh, did I say none with everything? Yeah, I did, because the end goal is to cease to exist. That's right. Buddhism. It's all about not having to do this endless charade anymore. It's about getting off. It's just being like, I'm done. I'm done with, like, constant life. This life thing is a total drag, and I'd rather not have to. And Buddhism is like, well, you don't have to. And you're like, first of all, big old burp. Second of all, you're like, I don't have to? Really? Like, you promise. Like, I don't have to, though. I don't have to? Huh. Interesting that I don't have to. White dye. Who gives a frick about white dye? Anyway, I'll wall those up as well. Ba ba doo boop 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 ba doo 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 ba doo boop ba da ba ba doo ba doo ba doo ba doo. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, put some things in places and whatnot. And this one is for various who's its and who cares ities. Boom. Put that there. Okay, I'm going to take this out so that I can put this here and burn it with this. Yeah, I'm making charcoal. That's right. Daddy needs charcoal. Anyway, but do you ever get that feeling? Like, I totally do. I totally get that feeling sometimes where it's like, ugh, is this even, like, this is life? This is what it is? there's that great Peggy Lee song where I feel like I've referenced all of this before. I feel like I'm just, maybe every single episode that I've ever done, I'm just talking in freaking circles. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. But a great Peggy Lee song in which she sings a song. It's called "Is That All There Is?" And like there's this scene that she lays out in the song where it's literally the her her home catches fire and is burning to the ground. And as her home is burning to the ground, she looks at it and she's unimpressed, and she's like, is that all there is to a fire? Because if that's it, then let's just keep dancing. And honestly, I think that it's a very profound take on the on what I would call a pragmatic response to the problem of dukkha, which the problem of dukkha is the same problem that Christianity has, that Christianity and, well, any Abrahamic religion, but, really any religion, especially religions with benevolent gods. If your religion has a benevolent god, then your problem, your number one issue, is to explain the nature of the universe as it exists. Why? Well, because it's crappy and bad, and people suffer. They have their hearts broken, and they lose everything, and they get old, and they get sick, and they die, and they're, sometimes their partners die before the, like, I've known people, young people, who have just woken up one day on a regular work day of the week to find their life destroyed when they roll over and realize that their partner, the person that they intended to live a life with, to build a life with, to go the distance with, has passed away in the night for literally no reason, unknown and unknowable. And this is the world in which we live. And the suffering can be so deep and profound and painful and hard. And, the Peggy Lee response is in the song, when she sees her home burning down, she's unimpressed. And she says, is that all there is to a fire? Because if that's all there is to a fire, let's just keep dancing. Because in the song, she's been dancing, and the dancing has brought her happiness. And so the fire is not going to bring her happiness. Obviously, that's not the nature of fires, unless you're an arsonist or a pyromaniac. Like, the fire is not going to bring you happiness unless you set it yourself, in which case the police have some questions for y'all. But yeah. So the thing of it is that we can have those experiences in which we are deeply, deeply unimpressed, disappointed, brokenhearted, let down, and so on and so forth. It can be, oh, geez, oh, this goes on a ways. Hello. Huh, interesting. Oh, and there's more copper. But that can be the nature. And this one, like, what the frick? It's just mud puddles that open up into vast caverns. Anyway, but the nature of life can be so disappointing on a profound and deep level. And you can feel it so palpably sometimes. It's just too much. It's entirely too much. But the Peggy Lee question, is that all there is? Because if that's all there is, I'm going to keep dancing, you know? And so, like, I strive and I struggle. I am wildly human. I am, if the nature of man is to be flawed, and yes, I use man in this, I I use it because I read a lot of classical literature. That's the sort of way in which you refer to humans, man, and mankind. Because women are kind of like men, kind of. Uh, but, I do try to dance where I dare, and to live in the moments that matter and try not to dwell on those that don't. And yet I'm so utterly garbage at it. Like, you will never find anyone worse at it than me. Never. Never. Uh it's like, I'm also a person who sees such great value in compassion, and yet am so often not a practitioner of it. Yeah. So, wait, what? What happened? Oh, dur. Anyway, and that's problematic. That's my problematic nonsense. That is me having me problems. Uh, what if I use coal to make charcoal? Is it going to be super efficient at making charcoal? Uh, I hope so. Because I need it. Anyway, but yeah, if that's all there is, then let's just keep dancing. What a beautiful message that is, because I'm telling you, that's all there is. That's all there is. Life will disappoint you, and it will, more often than not, feel so much more mundane and boring and stagnant and stuck, and the inescapable nature of the drudgery of day-to-day life. My God, will that grind at you as an adult, especially. And it's coming. It's absolutely coming. But if that's all there is, then you need to find your way to dance. You need to find those things that bring you joy. Because if nothing else is sparking joy for you in life, which there is nothing else, there is, like, what you see is what you get in a very real way. There is nothing else. So you find the things that bring meaning and happiness and joy and beauty and love to your life, and you clutch to those things and you hold to them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because everything else is a disappointment, and it can't help but be exactly that. It's going to be a disappointment, because that's what it is. And disappointments are disappointing. That's how they are. And life ultimately is a giant disappointment. It's a massive disappointment. And here's the funny thing. Think about the person that you know who is the most successful, who is the most, I don't know, the person who seems to have it together the most. Yeah, this coal is doing great at making charcoal. I mean, it's kind of like wishing for more wishes, but like ultimately, I'm going to be running everything off charcoal, and so I don't want to have regular coal in a slot, like a small amount of regular coal just burning a space in a slot for no reason. So yeah, I'm gonna convert it. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, how do you keep on dancing? How do you keep that smile on your face when everything is so very impermanent? And like, I'll tell you this, like, uh, sometimes, sometimes you will realize that you have given your life over to something or to someone, and then you realize that like they don't respect your sacrifice as much as you do. You're like, oh crap, like I done had given my life over to that. um yeah, well, other people are going to be as disappointing as anything else in this wildly disappointing world that we live in. Other people, frick, that they're going to let you down the most. Like, no one's going to let you down more than other people. Shoot. Come on. But the thing of it is that, like, if that's why you're dancing is for other people, then it's pointless. Like, if you're dancing, and obviously I am talking about the metaphorical dancing, the things that you do that bring you joy and happiness and that make your life worth living, that is your dancing. If you are dancing for other people in hopes that they will see it and say, my God, look at what a dancer you are. What a fine dancer. What an amazing job you do at dancing. You will rarely, if ever, get the satisfaction of having people acknowledge what you're doing. And if you get that acknowledgement, it will be it will never be enough. So just know that, have that in your brain, because let me give you an example, and then we're gonna close this out sooner rather than later. Well, I need to get my mind established. Once I get the width of my mind, or until I bust into some friggin' water, and then I have to figure out like what to do about that nonsense. Anyway, so there's probably a ravine that cuts through here, and that's probably what I'm hearing. Anyway, and it's just a matter of like, is oh. I do believe we have found it. Because, yeah, that's a creeper. How many? Oh, that's right. It's not going to work. It's not too bad as far as things go. I think I'll be able to handle that eventually. I should probably make myself some iron armor and stuff before I, venture in there. And I'm not prepared to do that just yet. Well, we shall see. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so, yeah, if you are doing your dancing for other people, you are going to be wildly disappointed in your return on investment. And I'm not telling you this to be a Debbie Downer. I'm telling you this because this is true. Sorry, it is. It is. Like it just is. So, my apologies to you and your life and the sad, pathetic things that you must endure as a result. But here is illustration that what I am saying is correct. So when I was a young urban professional, remember yuppies? Everyone hated them. Like, because there was a time, oh my God, we ruined this so bad. There was a time in the 90s where there were these young people who were making good money at jobs that they were qualified for because they got a good education. Can you imagine being angry at such people in the here and now? Like, can you even imagine that? Because, like, young people these days, it's like, sorry about the fact that you're never, ever, ever going to have a really good job or own a house ever. That's kind of how we approach it today. We're like, yeah, sorry about how rough it is out there with the everything because you're never going to own a house. That's the world that we've created for you. Enjoy it. Have fun. Yep. That's literally true. Young urban professionals. My God. Because people were like, oh, these friggin' yuppies and their ridiculosities. I swear to God, if I have to deal with any more of these yuppies and their yuppie behavior, and oh God, he's gonna come right down on top of me, isn't he? Oh no, it's just the water will, because he can't, because he's stuck. Wait. Let's see if we can't, like, shine a light on this situation. Is there a spawner over there? Is that what I'm seeing? Yeah, there is. Oh my God. There's totally a spawner over there, and I just saw it working, and I should have just charged in because I need to get a freaking torch on that because otherwise I'm going to be screwed. Put a torch. Here we go. Oh, I pickaxed him to death. That's why. Okay. I see what's going on here. Sort of, kind of, almost, possibly. Okay. All right. First and foremost, I gotta get at these chestises. Ooh, efficiency 1. Give me some redstone and some name tags. Don't you roll up on me, skeleton. A freaking... Oh, puntin seeds. Good. Beetroot. Who cares about beetroot? More string. Got me a sweet music disc. All right. Not bad. Now, let's get to the real issue at hand, which is why the frick are you making water for no reason? I don't need that in my life. You're not, it's not like you're doing anything handy. You're not making friggin'... Oh, that goes into nothingness. Anyway. Explore a little bit. We got armors now. Anyway, so ladies, gentlemen, oh god, there that fool is. Die like a dog. Oh man, my health goes down way more quickly. Like there's no way in regular survival that I would have taken that kind of damage from a single skeleton? Are you kidding me? Now I'm afraid for my life. And probably should be. Because life is hard and it's full of disappointment. And if I've taught you anything, it's that you're just going to be disappointed until you die. No, that's not the point. The point is that you have to make it happen. Like nobody is going to make it happen for you. You are the one who has to decide to keep on dancing. You are the one who has to decide what dancing is for you. Because nobody else can. Okay? That's... Oh, sweet. It's a big loop-de-loop, and I'm okay with that. I don't care about you, Dripstone. You drip away. That's your prerogative. I don't give a crap about you. But I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this right here. This is pretty good. Oh, jeez. Why are you opening up into new shaftuses of potential doom? I don't need more shafts of doom. I've got enough in my... God, these freaking cave systems. Okay. Oh, God. Because I'm just trying to start my mind. I'm not trying to excavate here. God. Okay, I do need some redstone, though. Ain't gonna lie. Ain't gonna lie. I do need this redstone. I'ma take it. I'ma take it. I'ma have it. I'ma have it. It's mine. I'm just gonna excavate this way back. Because I don't need the rest of y'all. And your judgmental eyes giving me the whatnot. Because I'm just trying to dance. For fricks frackles. I'm just trying to define what dancing means to me. And to do it without judgment. Did I hear a jobby villager? I feel like I did, but that may have been in my brain. Anyway, let me tell you why and how, like, doing it for other people is not gonna get you there. Okay. I have one of the best record collections you are ever likely to see in your lifetime. And I don't say that because I'm trying to be like, hey, I'm the freaking bee's knees over here. Like, hey, recognize my every small accomplishment. I'm just telling you as a matter of fact, you are not likely in your lifetime to see a larger or more impressive collection of vinyl records than what I have. because I started collecting when I was a yuppie in my 20s, and I would spend my money on what mattered to me, and what mattered to me was awesome records and cool vintage video games and stuff. And so I've cool stuff. Like I own things that if you saw them, you'd be like, "Oh, cool! You have that?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I totally have that. It's like mine because I own it and have it, and it's mine." Um, I do. Anyway, now that I am, my collection is much more established and set as to what it is and what's in it, and what I own and what I don't own. Because there are still things that I don't own, some that I wish I could own, some that I'm like, I don't care, uh, that I don't own that. Anyway, you can feel about that however you want. I have my own feelings on the matter. Who cares? There's much more redstone in here than I had initially thought. So, here's the interesting thing about it is that I have the type of record collection where it takes up like a significant amount of space in our living room, like a lot of space, like uh, to where I've had multiple conversations about how to help my wife feel like she has any amount of ownership in our living spaces because like my collections are vast and impressive because I was making yuppie money and I was even though I was making yuppie money, I was like spending every red penny that I had on cool stuff, and I was skimping on everything else. I was eating ramen, I was living with roommates, I was like not living the high life at all, but doing that on purpose because you know this is how I'm living. And uh anywho's it's just so much more copper. I'm gonna like I like making my steps out of copper, but like I might need to make a copper house or something. Like it's a lot of copper. There's not enough to make a copper house, obviously. Dur. But anyway, so understand this, that now that I am married and whatnot, my money is not just for me. I'm accountable for other people that I have to care about. I have to think about their needs and their well-being and whatnot because my wife tells me that I have to, and so I have to. Anyway, so opportunities for me to collect more of the things that I like are, fewer and farther between than they used to be. And that's okay. Tis what tis. You just sort of take it and move on. But here's the thing about it. Here's the thing that I like. I will still make purchases that are 100% selfish, and I feel very selfish when I make them because they will be like, oh, here's a new piece of audio equipment, and I'll bring it home, and my wife will be like, ugh, like we need more of this in our life, which we do. Oh my God, we do. Um, you know, so yeah, new piece of audio equipment, and she's like, really, really, this how we spending money? I'm going, you realize that it's not just you anymore, right? Like this is the kind of conversations that we have to have because yeah, I can be totally selfish and whatnot, but like honestly, in my brain, and I wish that this were not so, but it is true. Like, in my brain, there's a sort of perverse grab at attention and acceptance. It's what everybody wants out of life. You want people to see you, to see who you are, to see what you bring to the table, and to be like, hey, guess what? You're good enough. You're enough. Like, you made it. Look at you. But the funny thing is that none of us ever really feel like we are. So very few people in this world feel like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I've got it. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. Like, yeah, the reason that Stuart Smalley thing is a joke is because, like, who actually feels that way about themselves? Like, it's not that, like, oh, well, this guy shouldn't feel that about himself. No, it's that anyone feels that about themselves is laughable. And that's why that whole thing worked. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just gonna dig this out, Sleater Kinney style. Anyway, so I just looking for that acknowledgement that, like, I've done something amazing or impressive that no one else could have done, you know? And here's the thing, when people come over to our house and they see my various collections that I have, they are impressed. You know, like, we had flood damage in our house and strangers had to box up our things, and that was a whole experience. Hooray. But the funny thing about it is that they told they they conveyed to the other people at that company, who then conveyed it to my wife. They were like, oh my God, we think you guys are so cool. Like, you have the coolest stuff. And the funny thing is that, like, my wife knew that it was, like, my stuff that they're gushing over. Like, I mean, I happen to think that my wife is very cool. I happen to think that she is awesome and that I am lucky to have her. But that, neither here nor there. The point is, like, I want people to be impressed with me because of the mighty accumulation of stuff that I have. But even, like, when people say nice things about it, I'm embarrassed. I'm, like, legitimately embarrassed. And I wish that I weren't, but I am. That's how I feel. I'm embarrassed. And, like, and so, like, I always feel like, the things that I own are never enough, and that I'm never enough. And, like, hey, welcome to, the end game of capitalism is to just convince everyone that they are never enough and make you feel perpetually inadequate so that we can move some goddamn product. That's ultimately what it is. It's ultimately what it is. What a frustrating set of circumstances. That, ladies and gentlemen, is dukkha. That's my suffering. My suffering is that I'm stupidly, even though I know what I'm doing, and I know that what I'm doing is stupid, and I know why it's stupid, and I know that it's stupid, and I know that it cannot satisfy, and I know why it can't satisfy me, and I know, like, I freaking know. I know. I get it. If anyone gets it, I get it. And yet, here I am, chasing that stupid dream that is never going to come true. Nobody is ever going to tell me that I'm good enough and that I'm going to accept their statement and like, yeah, you're right, I am good enough. Like, I'm not going to accept it. And especially not on the basis of like, hey man, I saw your record collection. Guess what? You're good enough. Like, you know that feeling you've been looking for your whole life? Yeah, have that right now because I'm the person who can give that to you. Like, that's not how that happens. That's not how that happens. The happiest people in life are those who have found the power of gratitude, of being okay with who you are and what you are and how you are and what you have. Those are the happiest people in the world. No one is happier than them. No one could ever hope to be happier than them. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Anyway, so if you are in the Tuca trap and you're just constantly like, oh, I'm never enough, never good enough, never, smart enough, never accomplished enough, never whatever it is that you're not enough of. Haha, I thought so. Yeah, now it's time to die, but hey, there you go. Have you heard the good word about our Lord and Savior getting hit by a sword and me taking your stuff? I don't know why I feel the need to kill you two, but I do. I do. You don't give me anything. I derive no pleasure from your death, and yet I cause it every time. Every single time. Duke Waitania. That made me no happier to kill him. Standing on the beach with a gun in my hand, staring at the sky, staring at the sand, looking down the barrel of the Arab in the sand. I'm alive. I'm dead. I'm the stranger killing an Arab. If read some freaking Camus, it'll do you good. Probably won't. Probably make you more sad, if anything. Well, there's no hope for you, and it's just a freaking horror show from start to finish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nothing will ever make it better because it's impossible for it to ever get better. So enjoy that. Have it. It's yours now. I have unburdened myself, and now that knowledge belongs to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my wife is already in bed, so I need to go to bed. I've got to go to bed. Let me swig this very room temperature beer. Oh, it's harder to swig when it's room temperature. Did it. And let me just tell you, hey, I wish I could tell you that you're enough, but even if I did, it wouldn't matter because you're never going to be enough until you say that you are enough. So get on it. Do what you got to do to fix all your problems by yourself because no one else can help you. And happy times. Happy for you. Yay. Anyway, was this hardcore enough? Felipe, did I go hard? I think I went pretty hard. Anyway, all right, people, that is it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Okay. Bye.